Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a really famous line, one you've probably heard. If you see that all appearances are not appearances, then you will see the Tathāgata.
Right. It's from the Diamond Sutra. Sounds incredibly profound, doesn't it?
It really does. But, figuring out what it actually means, like in practice, not just as a nice idea,
Yeah,
that can be tricky.
absolutely. It hints at something huge, but the how of it, how do appearances become not appearances? What does seeing the Tathāgata even feel like? That's usually the puzzle.
Exactly. And I stumbled across something recently in the Śūraṅgama Sūtra that kind of lit this up for me from a whole new angle. Specifically, this section on the 25 perfect penetration.
Oh, yeah, the Śūraṅgama Sutra. That's a deep well. And that section is brilliant, isn't it? Those stories, they really illustrate these kinds of abstract concepts beautifully.
So these 25 perfect penetrations, they're like personal accounts from these, enlightened beings. Arhats, bodhisattvas, guanyins in there too, I think.
That's right. They each describe their own unique path, how they went from, an ordinary state to full realization. It shows there isn't just one way.
Mm-hmm. Lots of different doors to the same room kind of thing.
Exactly.
And one story in particular just, boom, stood out. It felt like it directly addressed this appearances are not appearances thing. It's the story of Ānālytica, one of the Buddha's main disciples.
Ah, Aniruddha. Yes. His journey, especially how he gained the heavenly eye and could see without, physical eyes. That's a perfect way into this.
Okay.
So our plan for this deep dive is basically this. Look at Aniruddha's story, understand the principle the sutra uses to explain his ability, which is pretty radical,
Yeah.
and then connect that back to the Diamond Sutra quote.
Great. Okay, let's unpack this. So first off, Aniruddha, he had this tendency, he got sleepy, like really sleepy.
Yeah, the source mentions him nodding off even when the Buddha himself was teaching. Can you imagine?
Right, and the Buddha apparently gave him a pretty sharp wake-up call.
Oh, very sharp. Compared him to a clam sleeping for 1,000 years, warned him he might not even be reborn human. It was strong medicine, designed to shake him up.
And, it worked. Maybe a bit too intensely at first. And Aniruddha took it so seriously he made this huge vow.
A really extreme vow, never to sleep again. That shows incredible determination, though.
Definitely. So the story goes, he forced himself awake for 7 days and nights straight.
Wow.
And the result? Maybe not what he expected. He went blind, lost his physical eyesight completely.
Which, yeah, on the face of it seems like a terrible reward for all that effort.
Right. But this is where it pivots. The Buddha saw his, genuine effort, his sincerity.
And taught him something special, a particular method, the source calls it. Let me get the name right. Joyful seeing, illuminating adamantine samadhi.
That's it. Beautiful name. And the outcome was, unbelievable, really. Aniruddha, physically blind.
Gained the ability to see everything, became known as the top disciple for the heavenly eye.
Yeah, the source even gives this image, saying he could see the whole world, all the people in it, as clearly as like a little nut in his hand.
An awaken nut, yeah.
Yeah.
Just perceive anywhere, instantly, clearly.
Okay, so hearing that, your first reaction might be, hold on. I mean, scientifically, seeing the whole planet without eyes. It sounds like pure myth, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and that's the hurdle for a lot of people. Maybe you can accept the idea of a heavenly eye intellectually, but how? Without the biology, the physics we understand, it seems impossible.
You just have to accept it's a miracle, right? Suspend all disbelief.
Well, that's often how it's taken. But the really interesting thing about the Śūraṅgama Sutra here is it doesn't just say miracle, move on. It actually offers an explanation, a principle behind why someone could see without eyes and see even better than with them.
Okay, I'm intrigued. If it's not just magic, what's the principle? How does the sutra start to explain it?
It begins by kind of comparing different levels of seeing. It brings in Ananda, another key disciple.
Right, the one with the amazing memory.
Exactly. But the Buddha points out that despite remembering all the teachings, Ananda hadn't practiced deeply enough. His perception wasn't fundamentally different from anyone else's most of the time.
Even though sometimes, with the Buddha's help, he could see further, like behind walls or miles away. I remember that.
Yes, the source mentions that. It calls that kind of occasional glimpse a sort of basic, rudimentary heavenly eye. Better than normal sight, sure, but just the first step.
Okay.
And the Buddha uses that as a jumping off point to talk about higher levels.
Right. Lay out that hierarchy for us again.
Okay, so based on how far someone's cultivated, Ananda's occasional glimpses were like level 0, heavenly eye.
Got it.
Then you have Aniruddha. He'd reached the stage of an arhat through his practice. He had the wisdom eye, too. That's the level where he could see the whole earth.
Wow.
Higher still, bodhisattvas get the dharma eye, Warren. They can perceive, like, hundreds or thousands of other worlds. The description really sounds like parallel universes, doesn't it?
It really does. Wild.
And then the highest is the Buddha eye. Buddhas can perceive countless, innumerable parallel universes.
And compared to all that, ordinary people, with just our physical eyes.
We're stuck seeing what's, like, right here. Yeah. Inches away.
Exactly. And that's the Buddha's key point in this comparison. Our big limitation is believing that only this tiny slice our physical eyes see is real. We limit reality to our limited perception.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. So the source is basically saying the function of seeing isn't just one thing. It's got all these hidden grades, these levels.
Precisely.
And our normal sight is just the entry-level version.
You could put it that way, yeah. The Śūraṅgama Sutra gives this underlying ability a name. Seeing nature. Kiai. It makes a point of distinguishing how this seeing nature works through physical eyes versus how it works for the heavenly eye, wisdom eye, etc.
But it's the same fundamental seeing nature.
That's the implication. But the big question is still hanging there. What is this? Seeing nature, fundamentally. And how does it see without eyes? Okay, yeah, the core question. What's the source? What allows this supervision without the biological hardware?
And the sutra gives a really direct, fundamental answer. This is core Śūraṅgama teaching. It says, our main mistake as ordinary beings is thinking our conscious mind, the one tied to the brain, Tekken, doing all the thinking and feeling, we think that's our true self. Our source.
The everyday mind, the stream of thoughts, emotions, senses. We think that's us?
We do. But the Buddha says, nope, that's not it. Underlying that, or behind it, is something else entirely. The subtle, bright, true mind.
Subtle, bright, true mind.
It's described as intangible, invisible. It's also called Buddha nature, or self-nature, Jess. This, the source claims, is your actual body, your original source.
So we're fundamentally mixed up about who we are. And this true mind is normally hidden.
It's covered up, yeah. Obscured by that conscious mind, largely due to what Buddhism calls ignorance. That ignorance keeps us focused on the surface, the appearances, the body, the thoughts, and we forget this deeper reality.
Okay, so when people like Ānālytica practice really hard and they get the heavenly eye or whatever, it's not like they're gaining a superpower.
Exactly. It's more like they're uncovering something that was always there. The practice, the kala, is described as transforming consciousness into wisdom. It's like cleaning a dirty mirror to reveal the reflection. You're revealing that subtle, bright, true mind.
And what's this true mind like? What can it do when it's uncovered?
Well, the source says it's identical to Buddha nature, which means it's inherently all-knowing Ader. It pervades everything, all 10 directions. It's already complete in itself.
Oh, wow.
And here's the key part for Ānālytica. It has the built-in ability to directly perceive everything in the world without needing physical senses.
Okay, mind blown slightly. So seeing without eyes isn't acquiring a new trick. It's just accessing an inherent function of our real nature, this true mind that we've forgotten.
That is precisely the teaching here. Cultivation isn't about adding something new. It's about recovering this original mind, the mind we've lost sight of. And the more completely you recover it, the more complete your seeing nature becomes. That's why you get these levels, heavenly eye, wisdom eye, and so on.
This even reframes how we think about normal sight, doesn't it? The source seems to say even that isn't just the eye-brain combo.
That's a huge implication, yeah. Science explains the mechanics, light hits retina, signals go to brain, etc. But the source pushes further back. Why is there light? Why is there matter for eyes to see? Science describes the how very well, but the ultimate why of existence. Maybe science can't answer that, or not yet.
So what's the sutra's answer to the ultimate why? Is it saying science is wrong?
Not necessarily contradicting the mechanics. It's talking about the fundamental ground of being. The source puts it starkly. Everything is only mind-made. Or everything is only consciousness projection.
So the whole universe, our bodies, eyes, light, it's all a projection, like from a projector.
That's the analogy, yeah. Projections or manifestations of this one subtle, bright, true mind. Science explains the projection, the movie on the screen. The sutra points to the projector, the source of the light itself.
Ah, okay. I think I get that. So whether it's physical sight or super sight, it's all fundamentally the true mind doing the perceiving. just through different levels of interference, maybe.
Exactly. The ability to perceive originates from this single, all-pervading true mind.
All right, so we have the principle, true mind. But how do we, actually get there? How do we tell the difference between the usual conscious mind chatter and this deeper thing? The Source talks about a specific practice, right?
Yes, a very central practice in the Śūraṅgama Sutra. It's initially explained using hearing, called turning the hearing back to the self-nature.
Turning the hearing back.
Yeah, but the principle applies to all senses. It's often described more generally as turning back the light to illuminate the self-nature, turning perception inward.
Okay, give me an example. The Source used seeing a flower.
Right.
Normally, I just see the flower. Pretty colors, shape, whatever.
Right. Your attention goes out to the external object, the taincha, the flower. The practice flips that. Instead of just getting lost in the flower's appearance, you use the fact that you're seeing it to turn your attention inward.
How? Like ask yourself a question.
Kind of.
Yeah.
You direct your awareness. Why can I see this flower? And the answer isn't just because my eyes work. It's because of this underlying invisible seeing nature.
Oh, okay.
You recognize that ability to see, that seeing nature is vast. It's like the Buddha eye. It perceives everything. This invisible capacity is your root, your source, the function of your subtle, bright, true mind. You shift attention from the thing seen to the seeing itself, and then to the source of seeing.
Okay, let's try another sentence. Hearing. Like you're hearing my voice now.
Instead of just focusing on the sound waves, the words, the meaning, you turn back. Why can I hear this? Because of the invisible hearing nature, which, like the seeing nature, is just another facet of the one true mind. You reflect from the sound back to the faculty that hears, and then further back to the source.
So you do this with everything. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Every sensation.
Every single perception becomes an opportunity, a chance to turn back to the self-nature, use the object, the sight, the sound, the feeling, as a kind of springboard to reflect back to the ability to perceive, and from there to the subtle, bright, true mind itself. It's about changing where you place your identification.
And the Source says this isn't just a thought experiment, it's a practice, something you do continuously.
Exactly. Slowly, patiently, moment by moment. Gradually loosening that grip, that deep habit of believing only the external world and the conscious mind are real, and starting to uncover or remember the true mind.
Which loops us right back around, finally, to the Diamond Sutra. If you see that all appearances are not appearances, then you will see the Tathāgata. How does this turning back practice unlock that?
Okay, so when you're doing the practice, you are definitely seeing appearances, because you see the flower, you hear the sound, you're interacting with the world.
Right.
But because you're turning back, you're not fooled by them, you're not taking them as the ultimate reality. That's the not appearances part.
So not appearances means seeing through them, seeing they aren't solid, independent things.
Precisely. You immediately recognize, this appearance, this flower, this sound, it's just a projection of my own subtle, bright, true mind. You see its source, its function, rather than getting stuck on the surface.
And the subtle, bright, true mind, you said earlier,
is Buddha nature calling out. And Buddha nature is the Tathāgata, the thus come one.
Wow, okay. So, by seeing appearances, the flower, not as solid realities, but as functions or projections of your own true mind, you are, in that same moment, seeing the true mind itself. And that true mind is the Tathāgata.
That's the connection the Śūraṅgama Sutra illuminates. Seeing appearances as projections of mind is seeing mind. Seeing mind is seeing the Tathāgata. It makes the Diamond Sutra line actionable.
It really does. It grounds it. Suddenly, it's not just a mystical phrase. This whole exploration, Aniruddha, seeing without eyes, the different levels of sight, the true mind, this turning back practice, it sheds so much light on that quote.
It provides a framework, yeah. A principle and a method. Now, obviously, the source material goes much deeper into the nuances of the practice itself. We've just sketched the connection here.
But it's a powerful sketch. It is a completely different way to think about perception and reality. Thank you for walking us through all that.
My pleasure. It's fascinating material.
And for you listening, maybe here's something to just mull over as you go about your day. Based on all this, if the world you perceive right now through your senses is ultimately a projection of your own mind, what does that really imply about the nature of reality? And maybe, more importantly, what does it imply about the potential hidden within your own awareness? Something to think about.